Hi and welcome to my video. I have been watching lately all these videos of people claiming that videos released from NASA aren't really videos from space. Now, I don't know where they got these videos from, and I honestly was interested in it but didn't really believe it. I thought, okay, they've got these videos from somewhere else, and NASA have never claimed these are real footage, and it's all made up by these people. But here today, 15th of December 2015, I've come across it myself. I was watching, or rather looking at the BBC News today, and this new video from the DSCOVR Discover satellite, which was launched in February, supposedly shows footage from, when was it, the 27th of September, during our blood moon, which I remember well. Of the video, the video shows the moon passing behind the Earth from a space view. And I played the video, and it's a time lapse of 4 hours, but the video is only a few seconds long, maybe 40 seconds, with some narration explaining exactly what it is. And yeah, the video says, courtesy of NASA, there, right in front of your eyes. There is this commentary from a chap telling you all about it. So I'm going to play you the video. As you can see, it's currently on the bbc.co.uk news science-environment-3507-6402 website, and hopefully by the time you view this video it will still be there for you to watch yourself. So let's just press play. Perfect. And that's the video in its entire length. So what was that, 25 seconds long. Now, here's where my concerns of this video arose. If I simply press play, we'll stop it there. Right at the beginning, the moon is far off to the right of our viewpoint. And one thing we're told about the moon is that from the Earth, it apparently doesn't rotate. As the Earth rotates and it follows it around in its orbit, for some reason, which I'm sure you spacey people will have an explanation for, it keeps its face towards us at all times. So it kind of rotates with us, and we never see any different face of the moon. Possibly it changes over hundreds of thousands of years, but for our average lifespan, we're always going to see the same old moon, the same craters, and the other side of the moon is always facing away from the Earth. So with this moon being that far away and very much over to the right, we would expect to see a slightly rotated version of the moon. I don't know how far out this satellite is. I'm sure you guys can look it up. But I've simply Google searched the moon, and I'll go back to the original results, because there's some pictures here on the moon itself, which is just Google the moon, nothing spectacular in there. And if we look at the image of the moon we've got here, we've got this little dot there of one of the craters, and then this kind of horse-shaped bunch of craters there, which seems to be that or that. And so effectively it's that picture. The finger of my mouse, even though this is a larger image of the moon, is kind of the width of the edge of that crater to the edge of the moon. If I go back to the original video, yeah, it's about the same width, not far off at all. I'll just expand that to full screen for a second so you get a closer view. But if you can just visualize this picture, and hopefully later on I'll overlap these, or overlay these two images, to show that this really shouldn't be. Another concern is really the size of the moon. I'll just mute that and have it playing for a bit so we can get. You can see it wobbles up and down. I'm sure there's a reason for that. And we've got to imagine the sun is behind us. So I'm wondering why the moon is so dim. It should be quite bright. It should be, the same luminescence, if not brighter, because of its because the moon is a very white and bright object as we see it. Certainly for night time it's a lot brighter than that, so I would expect the video to kind of reflect some of that brightness. It doesn't seem to, as is the Earth. Is perfectly illuminated right across, so yeah, it's obviously the sun is directly behind the camera here, and the other issue I have is the size of the moon. I mean, it there in that picture is certainly the size of the bottom half of Africa. Allowing for distance, the moon is however far away, and I've no idea how far this camera is away, but if the moon is on the far side of the Earth, it's obviously a lot further away than where we're used to seeing it. So if we're stood on the equator looking at the moon in the middle of Africa, that must take up a heck of a lot of the sky. And yes, I've seen photographs, and I know it doesn't work for me. Whenever I try to take a photograph of the moon, it always ends up a tiny little object, and I know some photographers managed to make it look massive. Certainly when the blood moon was on, it was huge. It was a supermoon. So maybe that has something to do with it. But I mean, wow. Considering the distance that moon must be away from this camera, much further than it normally is from our point of view, that's what, 1/10 the size of the Earth. So that would appear huge over any continent, but maybe there's a rational explanation for that. So anyway, why isn't this moon rotating? That's the big question. I'll just go back to the beginning there. As that moon travels around the Earth, it should rotate. Hi, I'm back and recording again. So what I've done is I've moved into my little drawing program so I can focus on the comparison of the two images. Now I realise that it might be slightly different and might need a slight rotation, just to get it to fit to explain my principle. But this, as you can see, is a zoom in of the BBC webpage, and within that I'm just going to paste, hopefully, much bigger than I wanted, the moon from the Google image, just to show how they work. So there we go. I'll just put it roughly, shrink it down to nearly the right size, and then zoom in. I'll sort that blockiness out, and hopefully the video compression won't do too much of a injustice to this. If I place them side by side, this here is a view of, the brighter one is from the Earth, the one on the left is the one from the satellite. Now I'm just going to make the moon as viewed from the Earth slightly opaque, and so I can overlay it and get the size right to the moon image we're working with. Just apply that size. Unfortunately, it's losing a heck of a lot of detail on the zoom in. I wonder if I can get a better one. I think it's sufficient for our purposes anyway. Okay, so we can see there is a slight change of angle, because you've got to assume that the one taken from Earth might not have been taken from the same horizontal position as the one from the camera. The person who took this might not have been stood on the equator or whatever horizon the camera was with. So that's that. If it's real, then that's the explanation. There's also, if it's fake, there's nothing to stop anybody from rotating it. But as you can see, the points I'm trying to get at, we've got some pixelation here, which actually helps me in this case because we can use it as a measurement guide. We have 2, maybe 3 pixels on that image and 2 pixels on that image, showing that the angle or the vertical angle these 2 images were taken at are almost identical. Not sure about the horizontal, but certainly the vertical. There is very little rotation at all. Now, considering where this this was supposedly taken from, being that far off to the right of Earth, I kind of expected a little bit more, because, as I say, the moon is intended, or supposedly, always at right angle, or facing, its face is always facing the Earth. Hi, and I'm back with yet another little animation for you to show the principle of how the moon always shows us the same face as it rotates around the Earth. Here we have my little program that I've found was probably best suited to doing the effect I wanted, because you know what, I don't know how to make animations, so I just basically draw things and move things around the screen. Here we have our Mickey Mouse camera, which on the video supposedly tracks the moon. So what you've got to imagine is that the camera is pointing that way when it starts, and kind of pointing, not that far, but kind of pointing over here towards the top of the Earth when it finishes over the 4-hour sequence. I can't make that animate at the same time I'm going to be moving the Earth, so I'll just leave that to your imagination. The camera is tracking the moon. That's all you need to know. I don't need it to animate. Here I have the moon, and I've drew a little line there showing you this is the moon's face. It always faces the Earth, and I've centered the rotation on the center of the Earth. It might not be exactly right, but according to science, but this is, as you can see, the way this principle works. So this is a top view of what we just saw instead of a side view, and so this would be the moon directly behind the Earth, not going on top of it, but you've got to rotate your perspective. And as you can see, the principle is that as the moon goes around us in its rotation, if I show you there, even if it was where the camera was, I assume it's behind the camera. I don't imagine the camera was that far away, but just it's maybe slightly off scale just for the purpose of showing the video. I'd imagine the camera maybe that close compared to the Earth. But the moon, as you can see, always shows us its M. That's its face. It doesn't change. Now, the point being, what I wanted to show you is if I draw a line from the camera to the moon, well, actually, the moon in the video started quite a way away from the Earth, somewhere like there. So if I just align that, Control Z that and put it back to where it was. Draw that line back in again. Sorry, I didn't select rotate on the object, I just selected move. So as I say, yeah, the camera, when it starts the video, it's got the moon way off here somewhere. And I'll select the moon again, and this time I'll select rotate. So as you can see, the angle that the camera should see of the moon is completely different. It should see, if I get clever and start drawing 2 lines in it, I'll just make this a hairline drawing. The camera should see the top of the moon there and the bottom of the moon there. Now, as you can see, the M is no longer in the middle as the camera would see it. The middle of the shot is way off. So when it comes out at the other side, nearly accidentally never clicked rotate again then, and I think the camera kind of picks it up just as it's coming out of shot there. Gets the bottom of the moon. I don't think the video actually goes all the way of showing the moon all the way out. Pity the moon doesn't have a big M on it for us to look at. But as you can see, the angle should be completely different, not the same. It shouldn't be the same image. That's a rotation from the camera's point of view, and that is why I have my doubts about this video. So add that to your little collection. I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you and goodbye.